let's see this example. I'll read out this poem. So, for an exam, also, a poem will be given without the title and without the name of the poet. He claps the crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Ringed with the azure world he stands, the wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. So it's a very beautiful poem. There are only two stanzas. So you need to read the poem once or twice or thrice. Get the main idea that is mentioned in the poem. So this poem is actually by Tennyson, The Eagle by Lord Tennyson. So for your exam, you won't get the title and the poet's name. You just need to make a very close analysis of the lines. Try to get the main idea of the poem. So what are the different things that you find in this poem? The poetic devices used. What is the main image that you find? So he claps a crag with crooked hands. So as the picture, actually this picture describes very well. On the mountain top, this bird of prey perches on that boulder, on that large rock with crooked hands, right? Close to the sun in lonely lands, high up, all alone, ringed with the azure, the blue sky. And beneath he can see the wrinkled sea. The waves appear as if it is crawling. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt, he falls as soon as he sees a prey. So read the poem once or twice. Try to get the meaning of the poem. So there is two stanzas with 3 lines each. And what is the rhyme scheme? Hands, lands, stands. They rhyme with each other, right? Then crawls, walls, and falls. They also rhyme with each other. So A, B, B, B. So that would be the rhyme scheme, right? So let's make a very close analysis of the poem. So the words clasp, crag, and crooked. So which sound is repeated here? The k sound, right? Clasps, crag, and crooked. So make analysis like this. These words associate the eagle with the age. The craggy, for instance, is still used to describe a lined, age without a face. The hard C, the curse sound that begins each of these words also establishes a very hard, sharp tenor to this poem's tone that fits in with the idea of the eagle's similarly hard, sharp life. The repetition of the sounds is called alliteration, right? Repetition of this consonant sound. So again, you find an example of alliteration. The k sound is repeated. Tennyson uses it in this short fragment to convey a sense of the eagle's situation. If there is any question in the reader's mind about why we should care to read about the habits of an eagle in the wild, Tennyson settles it at the end of the line, says, where he uses the poetic technique of personification in talking about eagle's hands. So that is another feature that you will you need to mention, that is personification, right? Crooked hands. When Tennyson makes the association of this eagle's claws with human hands, what is personification? Human attributes, human qualities are attributed to inanimate objects or animals. So here the claws of this eagle is compared to the crooked hands of an old woman, old man, or a woman, old human being. And when Tennyson makes this association of this eagle's claws with human hands, he lets us know that the story of the eagle is not just a study of an animal in its natural environment, but that symbolically he is telling us about human beings as well. Because of the implication of the descriptions mentioned above, we can assume that the eagle represents an elderly person as well, who is all alone, who is mellowed with age. You can interpret the poem in any way, but you need to substantiate from the with the lines from the poem. The line 2, in the second line, the idea that is presented to the reader in the phrase close to the sun could be expressed more directly, but in using these words, Tennyson accomplishes two goals. First, by bringing the sun to describe how high up in the air the eagle is, he uses hyperbole or exaggeration. So, again, we find another poetic device here, right? Hyperbole or exaggeration to associate the eagle with a sense of grand majesty. Tennyson lived during the age of enlightenment and a time when scientific curiosity and learning were greatly valued. And as an educated man, he would not have believed that an eagle's altitude could reach anywhere near the sun's. But this association makes the eagle seem like the sun, more powerful than anything on the earth alone. Placing eagle near to the sun or also allude to the myth of Icarus, who had wings and who tried to fly to the sun, is an illusion. What is an illusion? Illusion is a reference to something else, maybe to the Bible, to the Greek mythology, etc., specifically from another literary work, so that the readers can use knowledge of that work to sharpen the understanding of the given image. In Greek mythology, Icarus and his father Daedalus escaped from imprisonment on the island of Crete by making wings out of wax and feathers and flying away. But Icarus became too ambitious and flew very close to the sun, and the wax melted and he fell into the sea and was drowned. By placing the winged eagle near the sun, Tennyson seems to be implying that it may be too confident of its own ability. The confidence that the eagle has on its ability. Tennyson employed the pairing of two-syllable adjectives with one-syllable noun to help keep the meter of the poem intact. Indeed, Tennyson used no other adjective noun combination, just crooked hands, lonely lands, azure world. So, these combinations, wrinkled sea, mountain walls. In fact, he used no word longer than two syllables until the last line of the poem, where the three syllables of thunderbolt stand out to the reader, much as a loud clap or the sound of the thunder. How when you read the poem, you get that voice of the thunder coming would draw one's notice. It conveys power which any eagle certainly has. So you can note all these things: crooked hands, lonely lands. And also here in lonely lands, again the l sound is repeated twice. Example of alliteration. Wrinkled sea, again an example of personification, right? The sea appears to be it's like the skin of an old man, the wrinkled skin of an old man. The only thing that really bothers about this poem is the idea of an eagle falling like a thunderbolt. If the poem was called The Falcon, it would make more sense, as this falcon falls on the prey like a thunderbolt. But the poet was trying to say that this bird of prey is pouncing on the prey with force. And the poem has only 6 lines, and some of the imagery is with the sight and sound. So you need to find out different imageries. If there is a visual imagery, try to say that. If there is an auditory imagery, give example. If there is a kinetic imagery, give example. So here, close to the sun, the azure world, the blue sky, it's daytime, and it's a very beautiful visual imagery. And you have this wrinkled sea beneath the mountain walls. The only one that was that imagery of sight and sound was the thunderbolt. As like thunderbolt, he falls. The kinetic imagery, the swift movement of the bird the flight of the bird. The figures of speech are wrinkled sea, which means the waves in the ocean. So, as I have told you, it's also an example of personification. And then you have an example for simile here. Like a thunderbolt, he falls. So, you know the difference between simile and metaphor, right? So, here there is an example for a simile. The poem's theme is how an eagle can fly so high and dive so fast with power and pounce on the prey. And how free an eagle is. No, the freedom, the confidence that an eagle has. So let's see the different figures of speech used in the poem. Personification, for example, crooked hands, wrinkled sea. So these are all lonely lands. No, as if it's a person, a man or a woman, a human being is lonely. Then simile, the eagle like a thunderbolt falls. Then the imagery of the crooked hands, the azure sky. You need to paraphrase. So when you write an essay, when you make a critical appreciation for your exam, start with giving a very beautiful introduction to the poem about how the poem describes the main, what is being the subject. Then make a line by line analysis of the poem. So here he claps a crag with crooked hands, close to sun in lonely lands, ringed with the azure world he stands. So the eagle holds on to a cliff, a boulder, with claws that look like crooked or deformed hands of wrinkled hands of an old man. It's high up there, all alone, so far up that it appears to be near the sun. The eagle is surrounded by blue skies. The blue sky forms a ring or circle around the eagle. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. He watches from his mountain walls, and like a thunderbolt he falls. The sea beneath looks uh, like the skin of an old man, or like a shirt that needs ironing. You can make your own interpretation for that. Something crumpled. The eagle performs this passive action of watching the prey with all his standing and grasping. And if the eagle had it, then he pounds over the prey. And like a thunderbolt, he falls on the prey. Finally, after the careful observation of the eagle, he moves to attack the prey. So these are the main things, line by line interpretation of the poem. Then along with this, you need to mention the key features that we have discussed, the personification, visual imagery, all those things. How the poem admires the eagle. How the first stanza is, the first stanza, which is about the quietness and stillness, that the eagle, there is no noise, the eagle is all alone there. The eagle is very powerful, and he claps the crag with crooked hands. The poet uses these words, he repeats the curse sounds to give more power to the poem. So this is how you have to write. Then you have to move on to the second stanza, which describes the movement of the bird, and how his movement is sudden, fast, violent, and powerful. And the images used to describe this. And coming to the rhyme scheme, so the pattern is like A, B, 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 right? So this is the rhyme scheme of the poem. So you need to find out the rhyme scheme, the stanza form, and along with that you need to do a scansion as well. You need to write 2 lines from the poem. He claps a crag with crooked hands, close to the sun in lonely lands. Write these 2 lines, and you need to find out the meter of the poem. So the meter of the poem is iambic tetrameter, right? You find a weak, strong pattern throughout. Weak, strong, weak, strong. He claps, he is weak, claps, again strong. The, again a weak syllable. Then crag, it's a strong syllable. With, again weak, crooked. So the first part is strong. What you have to do is, you have to cut into two, you have to make units of 2 syllables each and try to find out. You need to mark the weak and strong syllables in the poem, and then you will get a pattern. So try to identify the pattern that you are getting. So you can so what the pattern that you will get here during scansion, when you do a scansion, is iambic tetrameter. However, substitute is seen in the first foot of the second and third lines, where a trochee is used instead of an iamb. A trochee is strong weak pattern. So in between you find the use of trochee as well. So these are the things you need to mention in the poem. So write 2 lines and try to identify the meter of the poem. So then you can end the poem by making a general comment on the poem. You can say that this is a highly pictorial and objective poem which presents the characteristic activity of a bird of prey very effectively. You can comment on the metaphors and other images used. I hope the way you can, it's very clear to you, this critical appreciation. So try to write a few appreciations of your own. I will post a few poems, and read the poem once or twice and make an analysis of a poem. So this poem also, please take down the lines and make an appreciation. You need to write an appreciation for yourself. You can follow the pattern. You can give an introduction, make a line by line analysis of the poem, comment on the images and other prosodic features used, and identify the stanza form, rhyme scheme, meter, make a general comment on the poem, and you can conclude your critical appreciation. Thank you.